Elon Musk thought he was facing just another lawsuit, until Karoline Leavitt uncovered the truth. A bribed judge, a rigged trial, a scandal that would shake the legal system to its core. It started like any other day in court. Lawyers whispered in hushed tones. Suits filled the benches. The judge presided with an air of authority that commanded the room. But something was off. Seated at the defendant's table, Musk drummed his fingers idly against the polished wood. This wasn't just a legal battle. It was a high-stakes corporate war disguised as a lawsuit. His opponents? A powerful group of investors with deep political ties, accusing him of fraudulent business practices. The allegations were flimsy, absurd even, but Musk had seen enough of the world to know logic didn't always win the courtroom. His lead attorney, Russell Greer, was a seasoned trial lawyer with a reputation for dismantling weak cases. Confident at first, he quickly sensed something was wrong. "Objection, Your Honor. The prosecution is making baseless claims with no supporting evidence." Judge Bernard Langford barely looked up. Overruled. Greer hesitated, a flicker of confusion crossing his face. The prosecution's argument had zero legal standing, yet the judge let it slide like it was routine. Musk leaned in. "That's a stretch, don't you think?" he murmured. Greer didn't respond. He was too busy trying to figure out what had just happened. Then, another blow. "Your Honor, we request permission to introduce key documents outlining the inconsistencies in the plaintiff's claims." Langford sighed, rubbing his temple like this was a minor inconvenience. "Denied." Greer straightened his tie, a subtle but telling gesture. Musk wasn't the only one noticing the pattern. Every ruling had gone against them. Every single one. The prosecution's case, riddled with holes, was suddenly airtight. Not because it was strong, but because they were being allowed to say whatever they wanted. It was as if the judge had already made up his mind. By midday recess, tension filled the air. Musk and Greer sat in a quiet corner of the courthouse cafeteria, neither touching their food. "This isn't just bias," Greer said finally, voice low. "This is something else." Musk already knew. He'd dealt with dirty competitors before. But this was something bigger. Someone wanted him to lose. Badly. The problem? He had no proof. Yet, Karoline Leavitt wasn't the kind of journalist who took things at face value. She had built her career on exposing power plays, corporate corruption, and backdoor deals. Something about Musk's case felt off. She dug in. Judge Bernard Langford's record was too clean. No history of bias, no controversy. But squeaky clean records usually meant someone had scrubbed them. She pulled financial records, campaign donations, corporate ties. At first, nothing stood out. Then she found it. A trust fund buried beneath layers of legal jargon. Over the past 2 years, it had received anonymous deposits, hundreds of thousands of dollars at a time, routed through offshore accounts. The timing was damning. One of the first major deposits landed weeks before Langford was assigned to Musk's case. That wasn't a coincidence. Leavitt expanded her search. The prosecution's lead attorney, Daniel Forsyth, had deep connections to multiple energy companies, all of which had aggressively lobbied against Musk's ventures in solar energy and electric vehicles. The pieces were coming together. Then a tip, an anonymous email. "You're looking in the right place. Langford doesn't make big rulings without outside approval. Check his travel records. Mexico, late 2023. He wasn't there for vacation." Leavitt's fingers flew across the keyboard. She cross-checked Langford's travel logs with private jet charters. There was a 3-day trip to Cancun the same weekend that high-profile executives from Tesla's biggest competitors held a private retreat. Langford hadn't just been there. He had been flown in on their dime. Her pulse pounded. This was it. Langford wasn't just biased. He was bought. She needed more. Something undeniable. She reached out to Ethan Vaughn, a former DOJ analyst turned cybersecurity expert. "If Langford's covering his tracks, he's not doing it alone. I need access to any encrypted communications linked to him. This isn't just a bad ruling, Karoline. If Langford's involved in something deeper, you're stepping into dangerous territory." "I don't care. Can you get something?" A pause. Then, "Give me 24 hours. She barely had 12. The next morning, her phone lit up. Ethan's message was simple. Check your email. It's worse than you think. Inside was a trove of leaked emails between Langford and a corporate lobbyist. Philip Grayson, a man with direct ties to Forsyth. One message stood out. Ensure the rulings favor Forsyth's clients, and you won't have to worry about retirement. The fund will take care of itself. Just make sure Musk's people don't get a single win. Langford's reply? Understood. As long as everything stays off the books, we won't have an issue. Leavitt wasted no time. Within hours, she went live on national television. This isn't just courtroom bias, she declared. This is corruption at the highest level. We have proof that Judge Bernard Langford accepted financial incentives to manipulate the case against Elon Musk in coordination with the prosecution's legal team. The internet exploded. Hashtag Judge Scandal trended worldwide. Politicians weighed in. Even Musk's critics couldn't ignore it. But inside the courtroom, Musk's legal team had no idea the bomb had just dropped. Then everything changed. Your Honor, Greer said, standing abruptly, I'd like to submit urgent new evidence. Langford barely looked up. Denied. Greer smirked. The evidence concerns your financial ties to the prosecution's backers. Are you denying a motion to introduce evidence against yourself? A ripple went through the courtroom. The prosecution's lead attorney shifted in his seat, his face pale. Then the courtroom doors burst open. A woman in a navy blazer strode in. A federal investigator. Judge Langford, she said, voice even, we need to speak with you immediately. For the first time since the trial began, Langford looked lost. His fingers hovered near the gavel but didn't touch it. Stepped down from the bench. As of this moment, you're under federal investigation for judicial misconduct, bribery, and obstruction of justice. The room erupted. Phones raised. Journalists shouted questions. The scandal was no longer contained. It was playing out live. Langford inhaled sharply. His hands trembled before he withdrew them. His gaze darted to Forsyth, whose face had gone white. Finally, Langford reached for his gavel. He hesitated, then murmured, This court is in recess. He didn't bang the gavel. He didn't look at anyone. He just stood up and walked out. And as he disappeared through the judge's chamber doors, the entire courtroom erupted into chaos.